Part 113. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1121. What they just did seemed even more ridiculous. When Xiao crossed his legs, Mr. Shen, have you thought about it clearly? Shen Qiuzhong suddenly became furious and stared at Han Ying fiercely. How dare you collude with an outsider to plot against me, a rip-off. Han Ying's fear of Shen Qiuzhong was engraved in her bones, and she didn't dare to disobey or even talk back. When Xiao said coldly, Mr. Shen, there is no need to threaten others here anymore, otherwise I wouldn't mind adding 2 more charges to you. Shen Qiuzhong was in a rage, but he also knew that Wen Xiao was a ruthless character. If he hesitated again, there was a high probability that his reputation would be ruined. Their Shen family's century-old legacy cannot be destroyed in one day. He was not afraid of Wen Xiao alone, but he knew that there was Fu Nanli behind Wen Xiao, and he knew best how capable the Fu family was. Okay, I promise you. Wen Xiao said coldly, Mr. Shen has agreed to Shen Ning's blood and Shen Yan's custody rights, right? Does Shen Qiuzhong have the right to choose? He could only deal with it first. I agree. When Xiao stretched out his hand and number 3 brought the documents over, there is no proof for what you say. Mr. Shen, please sign 2 contracts now. Shen Qiuzhong gritted his teeth, what contract? One is a custody transfer agreement. Ms. Han happens to be here. I also brought a lawyer to notarize it directly. In addition, is Miss Shen Ning at home now? Or just ask her to donate blood to me. I have professional doctors here. I also brought professional equipment and everything else, so that Mr. Shen would not go back on his word again. Shen Qiuzhong gritted his teeth, am I that kind of person? Wen Xiao said firmly, you are that kind of person. Shen Qiuzhong looked ugly, Shen Ning is still abroad, not at home. Then Mr. Shen will call Lin Qinjin now and ask her to come back. I will talk to Miss Shen myself. I just hope that Miss Shen will not inherit her father's cunningness, and that this time will go smoothly. Miss Wen, don't speak to me in a commanding tone. Shen Qiuzhong was suppressed by this little girl several times and was on the verge of becoming angry. He lost all face. He really lost all face today. Mr. Shen, please call. Wen Xiao would not give him a good look. Shen Qiuzhong carefully examined the situation in front of him. According to his temperament, he really wanted all the bodyguards at home to come out and tie up this dead girl and the people she brought. But in that case, it would really be a violation of the law. Unlike his wife and son, Wen Xiao would definitely take him to court, and the Fu family would not be able to answer the question. Rampant dead girl. With no other choice, Shen Qiuzhong dialed the phone. Although the speakerphone was not on, Wen Xiao could barely hear the other party's voice. She asked Shen Yan beside her in a low voice, what kind of person is your sister Shen Ning? Shen Yan, not the same kind of person as Dad. Wen Xiao understood and felt somewhat relieved. After hanging up the phone, Shen Qiuzhong suppressed his anger and said, she will be back in 3 days. Wen Xiao handed the custody transfer agreement to him, Mr. Shen and Ms. Han, please sign it. From now on, Shen Yan will settle with Ms. Han. As for alimony, it is also clearly stated in this contract. If Mr. Shen has any objections, you can call and consult your own lawyer. Shen Qiuzhong was almost forced to move forward, and he had to do as she asked. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1122. He took the signature pen and briefly browsed the contract. Wen Xiao knew why he was so upset and entangled, because in this family, the only one who could make him beat and scold him easily was Shen Yan. Domestic abusers like to abuse old people, weak women, and children, and his other 2 sons were already adults. The only daughter seemed to have inherited from her mother, who was not a pushover, and she was his only daughter. He still doted on her, but Han Ying divorced him again. If Shen Yan is gone, then there will be nowhere for him to vent his anger in the future? Maid. This kind of domestic violence man likes to beat the people closest to him most, and servants cannot satisfy his pathological desire for violence. Shen Kuozhong's chest heaved with anger, but he had no choice but to sign his name on the last page. Han Ying clenched her hands tightly. The moment she saw him signing, she was relieved and tears welled up in her eyes. Wen Qiao took the contract, checked it carefully, and handed it to Han Ying. You also sign it. From now on, Shen Yan's custody rights will belong to you. It will be made in 2 copies. Sign both, and each of you will keep one. Han Ying quickly signed her name with trembling fingers. She didn't care about alimony or anything like that. As long as she was with her children, she was happy with it even if she didn't live a prosperous life. Wen Qiao asked her to keep the contract, and then she was about to leave with a few people. Shen Kuozhong stopped him. You are guaranteed, but what about my guarantee? I have fulfilled your requirements. If those videos and photos are still leaked, what to do? Wen Qiao smiled. Mr. Shen, you think I'm the same person as you? You can only be a gambler now. Bet that I won't break my promise. You have no choice. After Wen Qiao and the others left, Shen Kuozhong finally became furious and smashed almost everything that could be smashed in the living room, but this could not vent the anger in his heart. Bitch, you dare to plot against me, you dare to join forces with them to plot against me, bitch, bitch. In the car going down the mountain, Shen Yan finally showed a small smile. It flashed by and was difficult to catch without looking carefully. Wen Qiao, who was sitting in the passenger seat, saw it. This was the first time she saw Shen Yan's undistracted smile. It is really pitiful for a 9-year-old child to be punished with such shackles. I hope everything will be fine for him in the future. Shen Yan didn't even pack his luggage and left this cold and heartless mansion with his mother. Han Ying had been wiping her tears silently. She gently lifted up his sleeves and saw a lot of old and new wounds on his arms. She was in so much pain that she couldn't breathe. Her child had suffered so many injuries. How much suffering, it was her uselessness that caused everything today. Along the way, the mother and son chatted softly. Shen Yan was not used to the overwhelming maternal love, but it was only faint and even a little resistant. Han Ying did not take it seriously. Wen Qiao had greeted her beforehand. The child's mental illness has not yet been cured. In the later stage, she hired the most professional family doctor, and she will slowly return to normal once a week. Fortunately, Han Ying's place was not far from Wen Qiao's house, so the car stopped outside Han Ying's community first. Han Ying got out of the car, and Wen Qiao also got off to see her off. Han Ying cried so hard that she couldn't hold on to Wen Qiao's hand. Ms. Wen, I really don't know how to thank you. No need to thank me, just take good care of Shen Yan. I will definitely do it. Then she burst into tears. Wen Qiao whispered, if Shen Kuozhong dares to cause trouble for you, tell me immediately. Han Ying was about to kneel down in front of Wen Qiao. I will keep your great kindness in mind. Whatever Miss Wen needs, I will go through fire and water without hesitation. Wen Qiao smiled and turned to get in the car. Wen Qiao. Shen Yan stopped her. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1123. She turned around and saw a little boy standing under a tree in the night. The lights were flashing. Miraculously, most of the anger in him had disappeared. At a sudden glance, he looked like a simple and innocent child. What? "Can I go to your house to play in the future?" He seemed to have mustered up the courage to ask this question. Wen Qiao held the car door and smiled, "You are always welcome." She got in the car and left Han Ying's community. In the back seat, she and her uncle were sitting side by side, but Susie didn't look happy at all. "What's wrong?" Susie pressed his temple. "Other people's matters have been resolved, but so far, you haven't gotten Shen Ning's blood." "Wen Qiao, she will be back in 3 days, right? Shen Qiaohong should not dare to cause trouble again." 3 days later, early in the morning, a young girl wearing a t-shirt, loose jeans and a high ponytail appeared at the door of Shen's house. The morning fog had not yet dissipated. The girl had beautiful features, fair skin, and a somewhat lazy look. She walked behind the taxi and moved out a huge suitcase. The driver got out of the car in a hurry. "Little girl, let me help you." This little girl was not only beautiful, but also had a good temperament, like a little fairy. The driver suddenly became very angry and wanted to help her. Shen Ning waved her hand. "It's okay, can I still carry such a small amount of things?" "Thank you." She dragged her suitcase towards the main house and met the housekeeper Uncle Chen running towards her. Uncle Chen said attentively, "Why didn't Miss call me when she came back so that I could send a driver to pick you up at the airport?" Shen Ning said indifferently, "I hailed a taxi, which was quite convenient." "Where is my dad?" "Sir, you just got up." "Miss, you must be tired from the journey. Go upstairs and take a shower, then go to bed first." "Shen Ning, I slept on the plane for a long time." Uncle Chen took the huge suitcase. When he passed the steps, he couldn't even lift it alone. Shen Ning chuckled, "I'll do it." After saying that, he picked up the handle with one hand and walked up a few steps easily. Uncle Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Miss Third, put it down quickly, I will drag it." Shen Ning put down her suitcase and entered the mansion. Shen Qiaohong greeted her with a smile on her face. "A Ning is back." Shen Ning finally showed a well-behaved look in front of her father. "Dad, why did you ask me to come back?" Shen Qiaohong took her to the dining room. "Let's talk while eating." Shen Qiaohong told the whole story out of context, roughly describing Wen Qiao as a shameless man who unreasonably took advantage of Shen Yan to steal her blood donation. Shen Ning was silent for a few seconds. Living in this family, how could she not understand what kind of person her father was? She was a little surprised. "You said this Wen Qiao has been Shen Yan's tutor for more than a month." Shen Qiaohong hummed. Shen Ning thought that Wen Qiao was definitely not an ordinary person who could conquer her brother. "Ning, this is a deal I made with Wen Qiao. Your client is over 18 years old and has his own personal will. If you don't agree to it, then I won't be able to do anything to you. Did you hear that?" Shen Ning held a piece of bread in her mouth and said lazily, "Dad, this is not good." "What's wrong with that?" "No matter what means Wen Qiao used to force you to make this deal with her, but you agreed to her, that's the fact. We can't go back on our word. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1124. Shen Qiaohong clicked his tongue. "Isn't Dad thinking about you? Why should you donate your blood to others, and it's still 600 milliliters? Do you have any idea about this? A young girl, donating so much blood, you can't make it up later." Shen Ning pouted, "Dad, you are too behind the times. You can't make up for anything. There is no such thing. If it is more than 600 ml, I can divide it into 2 times." Shen Qiaohong finally got a little annoyed. "You kid, do you want to learn from your brother? I'm doing this for your own good, aren't you also on your father's side? He just didn't want to be held captive by that dead girl Wen Qiao, and there was no room for him to struggle for half a year." Shen Ning took a deep breath. "Okay, I'll think about it. I'm tired, so I'll go up and rest first. Shen Qiuzhong looked at his daughter's back with concern. Uncle Chen said worriedly, "Sir, the third lady will not disobey you. She will not disobey me. Over the years, she has been my favorite. I have never even slapped her. She cannot be like that kid Shen Yan, with her elbows turned outward." Shen Ning went upstairs, threw off her slippers, sat on the carpet beside the bed, and called out. The phone was quickly answered. "Kid, I want to ask you something." The other party is Shen Yan. Shen Yan's voice had no ups and downs. "What's the matter? Tell me about your tutor Wen Qiao and the ins and outs of this incident." Shen Yan is a concise child. He finished such a long story in 3 minutes. Shen Ning raised her eyebrows. "I understand." It was night. Shen Ning went downstairs and said to Shen Qiuzhong, "Otherwise, you just use a few tubes of fake blood to give to Wen Qiao. Li Ke will not be responsible for it." "Dad, you should know, then I will say that the blood you gave is real. Wen Qiao doesn't admit it herself." Shen Qiuzhong was happy. "After all, you are still the ghost." The next day, Wen Qiao came again. The agreed deadline had come and she came to take Shen Ning's blood. Shen Qiuzhong was happy and took a medical kit with 6 test tubes, each containing 100 milliliters of blood. Wen Qiao raised an eyebrow and said, "I need to test it?" Shen Qiuzhong chuckled, "Then take him to the hospital for examination." Wen Qiao, "No, just check it here." There was a thud in the Shenguo center. The blood was given to him personally by Aning. Aning has a doctor friend. She also went to a medical university and wanted to be a doctor in the future. She went out early this morning. Then he came back with these 6 pieces of blood, saying he wanted him to fool Wen Qiao. This girl didn't even show up. She was probably still upstairs at this moment. Inspection on the spot. How to inspect it? As soon as Wen Qiao clapped his hands, he saw someone outside pushing some kind of instrument in. The instrument was not big and was pushed in on a trolley. Shen Qiuzhong certainly couldn't understand these medical equipment. Wen Qiao smiled, "I brought the instrument over, and the results will be available in half an hour." Shen Qiuzhong became angry. "You can't trust me, and you brought this kind of instrument here." Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows. "Yes, I just can't trust you. After all, there are lessons learned from the past. I was tricked by Mr. Shen, so I have to be more cautious." Su Ce took the test tube and glanced at Shen Qiuzhong coldly. If he dared to play tricks, the Shen family would be in bad luck. He would never listen to Akiao's nice talk again. Shen Qiuzhong was sitting uneasily, and Uncle Chen beside him was even more worried. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1125. Soon, the blood test was done, and it took half an hour to wait for the synthesis report. Everyone in the room sat and waited, and the atmosphere was a bit awkward. Shen Qiuzhong stood up suddenly and said, "You guys wait a minute, I have something else to do and I need to go out first." He was stopped by number 3, "Mr. Shen shouldn't be in a hurry for half an hour. How are they different from bandits?" Shen Qiuzhong was almost hysterical at being so violently suppressed in his own home territory. He continued to wait. Half an hour later, Su Ce clicked on his phone to check the test. Shen Qiuzhong sighed. His mind was in a mess, and he couldn't think of what words to use to fool them for half an hour. Can he be fooled? Wen Qiao doesn't seem to be that easy to fool. Su Ce looked at the phone screen carefully and finally nodded. "Well, Akiao, it matches your blood type." Shen Qiuzhong was stunned. "Match? How can this be?" Wen Qiao smiled lightly. Then, "Mr. Shen, we will take these away. Thank you for your cooperation. As for those videos and photos, I will send them to you without any backup." I hope that everything will be fine in the future. Shen Qiuzhong was so angry that his veins popped out. This was a threat. This girl threatened him not to cause trouble for her or Shen Yan and Han Ying in the future, otherwise she would come back. This time, he didn't get any benefits. He handed over the custody of his son, donated his daughter's blood, and was laughed at by these people for nothing. Furious and furious, no words could describe the anger in his heart right now. Wen Qiao had already led her people out the door frantically. He went upstairs angrily, and Shen Ning was sitting at the desk, wearing earmuffs and listening to music. Shen Qiuzhong took off her headphones and said angrily, "Tell me, what is going on?" Shen Ning tilted her head, "What is Dad talking about? You said you took other people's blood to fool Wen Qiao. Why did the blood test from Wen Qiao just now match?" Shen Ning hesitated and said, "Because what I gave you was my blood." Shen Qiuzhong picked up her sleeve and saw an obvious pinhole in the blood vessel on her right arm. Sure enough, it was her own blood that was drawn. "You girl actually lied to me, and you also lied to people outside." Shen Ning breathed out, "Dad, I am helping you, because I heard that Wen Qiao has some videos and photos that are not good for you. If you anger her and she publishes them, isn't the reputation lost?" Shen Qiuzhong was furious. "Does she dare? She doesn't dare. I gave her the blood anyway, and I have a video to prove it. If she is exposed again, she will be the one who goes back on her word." "What if she goes back on her word?" These words stopped Shen Qiuzhong. Is Wen Qiao someone who plays her cards according to routines? She's not, and she doesn't care about her reputation. If she goes back on her word, there's nothing you can do about her, Dad. There's even the Fu family behind her. Even if she goes back on her word, do you think Fu Nanli will help her calm this storm soon?" Shen Qiuzhong was so angry that he almost lost his temper. Although this sounds ugly, it is also true. Shen Ning concluded, "So, I am thinking about you, Dad. For your sake, you have to swallow this breath, or you have to swallow it if you don't. This matter ends here. Don't fight with Wen Qiao anymore. I heard that Shen Yan is in very good condition now, and this is also due to Wen Qiao. This is what you promised to give to others, Dad. You are not at a loss. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1126. Shen Qiuzhong waved his hands and left angrily. Shen Ning raised an eyebrow. She was observing on the second floor just now and saw a person she had admired for a long time. She thought she had made a mistake. Professor Su, whom she had met from afar, turned out to be Wen Qiao's uncle. She was really glad that she made the right choice, otherwise how could she have the face-to-face Professor Su? On the way down the mountain, Wen Qiao was a little confused. I really didn't expect that Shen Qiuzhong would compromise so neatly. He seemed very surprised when he learned that this blood type matched yours. Wen Qiao, really? Number 3, he was really surprised. Wen Qiao was confused. That's strange. He gave us this blood. He doesn't know what's in it. He raised his eyebrows. I'm not sure why. In short, I will save this blood for you. It will be available for at least 2 years. When the blood is collected, I will replace it for you at once. Is blood transfusion a complicated surgery? It's complicated, but I can do it. As long as you collect enough blood, you don't have to worry. Wen Qiao, well, the next one is in Hangzhou, right? Yes, the mountains in the south of Hangzhou. When do you plan to go? Let's find a weekend and take a few days off. Since we are villagers, we should be more simple. I believe we won't be as messy as Shen Qiuzhong. I hope we can solve it quickly. When he got home, Susie went to his laboratory first, and then put the 600 ml of blood collected into his freezer. When Wen Qiao returned home, he received a call from Lu Yuyu. The gossip expert sent timely information. I'm telling you a piece of news. It should be bad news for you. Wen Qiao's heart skipped a beat. What's the news? Lu Yuyu said seriously, young Master Fu has a CEO named He Yuman. Do you know him? Wen Qiao recalled, I think I've heard of him, but I'm not familiar with the people in his company. What's wrong? This He Yuman is 37 years old this year. He has become the president and CEO of the real estate industry of Zhonghuan Group. He can be considered young and promising. 37 became the president without the support of family background, so he was indeed young and promising. So what happened to him? He is married and has a daughter and a son. The daughter is 10 years old and the son is 6 years old. However, he cheated on her. Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows. Cheating? Yes, and she is a female celebrity in the cheating industry, so this matter has not only been in the entertainment gossip news, but also in the business and financial news. It is now making a fuss. Wen Qiao instantly understood why Yu said it was bad news. Because He Yuman belongs to Fu Nanli, He Yuman has such crisis public relations, and it seems that Fu Nanli has also asked him to do many important development projects. If something like this happens to He Yuman, Fu Nanli will inevitably be implicated. As for the incident of He Yuman cheating on a female star, it was not revealed sooner or later, but it happened after Fu Nanli told him about several major development projects. Obviously, it was unearthed by someone who was interested. If Fu Nanli doesn't handle it well this time, he will definitely fall into the quagmire. Wen Qiao hung up the phone on Yu and went straight to Fu Nanli's company. When she arrived at the company, the secretary said that Mr. Fu was in a meeting. When Wen Qiao passed by the conference room, Fiona happened to come out. Through the crack of the half-open door, she hearing Fu Nanli's furious voice. He even caught a glimpse of 37-year-old He Yuman being scolded by Fu Nanli like a grandson. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1127. Fiona even had red eyes. It seems that everyone has a hard time, and this incident is indeed serious. When Fiona saw Wen Qiao, she returned to normal in almost a second. Wen Qiao could only sigh that people in the workplace are really tough, and tears flowed into her stomach. Ms. Wen, you go and sit in Mr. Fu's office first. He is having a very important meeting and he probably won't be able to get away for a while. Wen Qiao went to Fu Nanli's office. Fiona was busy making coffee for her. Wen Qiao said considerately, you don't have to greet me. If I'm thirsty, I'll pour myself some water. You can go do your thing. Wen Qiao was sitting on Fu Nanli's boss chair. The door of the office was not closed tightly, and voices from the office opposite came occasionally. She had never seen Fu Nanli lose such a temper. Another secretary, Lisa, came in to help her refill her coffee. Wen Qiao asked in a low voice, why is he so angry? Lisa sighed, because Mr. He is a person that Mr. Fu values very much. If Mr. He performs well, Mr. Fu can hand over many substantive tasks to him. Moreover, Mr. He and Mr. Fu personally go to Wall Street to invite him back. Yes, if something happened to Mr. He, it would be a slap in Mr. Fu's face. What's more, it's a scandal like the relationship between men and women. It's too ugly. Wen Qiao nodded thoughtfully, how will this matter be handled in the end? Lisa was embarrassed, these are high-level decisions. I'm just a little secretary. I can't interfere with these. The meeting will be adjourned later. Miss Wen, please help us comfort Mr. Fu. Only you can persuade him. If Mr. Fu's thunderous wrath is allowed to continue, everyone around him will probably suffer. Wen Qiao nodded, well, don't worry. When will the meeting last? Lisa was distressed, I don't know about this. The meeting will definitely not be over for a while. Everyone in the public relations department is in the office, discussing how to minimize the losses. Wen Qiao nodded, I understand, go and do your work. After Lisa went out, Wen Qiao took out his mobile phone and looked at the stock market of Zhonghuan Group. It can be expected that since He Yuman's cheating scandal was exposed, Zhonghuan's stock has risen slightly. This is a consistent operation of capital. Generally, when there is a public relations crisis, traders will be used to make stocks rise and stabilize public sentiment. But if no practical and effective solution can be found in a short period of time, the stock will definitely fall sharply by then, and the loss will be in the hundreds of billions. Wen Qiao felt his brows twitching. Moreover, Fu Nanli joined the board of directors not long ago. In such large listed companies, internal strife is often serious. Fu Nanli was trained by Mr. Fu as the chairman of the board of directors. Obviously, someone did not want him to become the chairman of the board of directors. This turmoil has had a great impact on Fu Nanli. The old guys on the board of directors can make a fuss out of a molehill and even use this as a threat to expel Fu Nanli from the board of directors. Wen Qiao breathed out. It's not surprising that Fu Nanli was so angry. By this time, it was 10:30. Wen Qiao ordered a takeout. As soon as Lisa delivered the takeout, she heard the noise coming from outside. The meeting finally ended. The door of the office was pushed open violently, and Wen Qiao saw Fu Nanli walking in with a sullen look, followed by a large group of dejected middle-aged men in suits and ties, all of whom were silent and no one dared to speak. Fu Nanli didn't notice that Wen Qiao was there. He took off his tie and threw it on the sofa. His voice was cold and cold, we have been meeting for a long time and you haven't given me any results. What's the use of you? Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1128. Mr. Fu, it's getting late, why don't you go back and rest first? Rest? Do you think I can sleep now? Everyone was silent and didn't dare to speak. Wen Qiao said carefully, I heard that you haven't eaten dinner yet. Why don't you eat some first? Only then did everyone notice that there was someone sitting on the boss's chair. The moment they saw Wen Qiao, everyone felt that they were saved. Fu Nanli's gloomy expression suddenly softened, and his stern tone became much gentler, why are you here? After speaking, she waved her hand. Fiona knew her boss best and immediately said to the senior executives behind her, go out first and let Mr. Fu have something to eat. Everyone left the office dripping with sweat. Fu Nanli walked up to Wen Qiao, unbuttoned 2 buttons, breathed a sigh of relief, and rubbed her hair with his long fingers, why are you still here so late? Wen Qiao opened the lunchbox and found a piece of tomato pasta. It was still steaming. Wen Qiao opened the chopsticks and handed them to him, I'm waiting for you. You've been waiting for too long. Aren't you hungry? Fu Nanli frowned deeply, I'm not in the mood to eat. Then you have to eat. Your stomach is not good. You must eat on time and on time, otherwise you will get stomach trouble again. Fu Nanli took the chopsticks and took 2 bites of pasta before putting the chopsticks down. Wen Qiao then force-fed him a few mouthfuls, but he only managed to eat half of it. Wen Qiao wiped the corners of his mouth with a tissue, after a long meeting, have you come to any conclusions? Fu Nanli pressed his eyebrows and said, the past half day has been spent basically lecturing the people of Heiwu. It's really annoying. Wen Qiao curled his lips, he is indeed ignorant. He has a wife and children, and he is also involved with a female star. It's hateful. Fu Nanli closed his eyes and did not answer. Is this incident directed at you? He Yuman is your most capable subordinate. I heard that you are the CEO of the largest real estate company, and you have left it to him. Yeah, he seemed very tired. He was exhausted from meeting in such a closed conference room for 7 or 8 hours and being so angry. Wen Qiao frowned. Is there someone on the board of directors who wants to move you? Fu Nanli suddenly opened his eyes. I probably know who he is, but it's also because He Yuman did have something to do and was caught. If he is upright, those old guys can't do anything to me even if they try their best. Well, that's indeed the case. So, after you had such a long meeting, did you come up with any decisions? My opinion is to remove him from his current position and let him become the manager of my entertainment company. This is equivalent to being relegated to the cold palace. For a general like He Yuman to go to an entertainment company, it would be overqualified and underutilized. Such a result would definitely be a heavy punishment for He Yuman. Don't he like female celebrities? Let him run the entertainment company. Then other people disagree with your decision. Fu Nanli's face turned pale. They all opposed it with all their strength. Wen Qiao knew that cutting off Fu Nanli's right-hand man was indeed his plan. If He Yuman was really allowed to go to the entertainment company, Fu Nanli would be hard-pressed to survive alone. It would be impossible to find someone with the same abilities as He Yuman. Even harder. Let the Public Relations Department issue a public relations document first, and let Mr. He himself issue an apology. The most important thing is how he plans to deal with his family affairs and scandal now. This is also very important. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1129. Fu Nanli pressed his temples. Why do you think I'm so angry? It's because at this juncture, He Yuman still can't guarantee to me that he is willing to break off the relationship with the female star. Wen Qiao's eyes were a little disgusted. I heard that He Yuman was born in a poor family, and his wife was a college classmate. His wife was very supportive of his studies and his entry into big companies in Silicon Valley. Probably, I don't know the details. Wen Qiao shrugged. I don't know much about other people's family affairs, but if he abandons his wife and children in the end and really gets together with a female star, then there will probably be a lot of trouble later, and your opponent will seize this matter. Relaxed. Fu Nanli, I know. Wen Qiao took his hand. It's getting late. Go back first. You can hand over the work. You can't be asked to participate in the discussion about everything. Go back to sleep first and recharge yourself so that you can have more energy to go tomorrow. Scold Hei people. Fu Nanli really had a severe headache, so he followed Wen Qiao out of the office. A large group of people in the conference room opposite looked secretly and let out a sigh of relief when they saw the eldest young master entering the elevator. Finally gone. In the end, Miss Wen still has a way. Although Mr. Fu is gone, we still need to discuss a solution. If we can't come up with a countermeasure tomorrow, Mr. Fu will still be angry. The people from the Public Relations Department looked at He Yuman and really wanted to kneel down to him. Mr. He, what are you thinking? You should end your relationship with that female star immediately. If you continue and don't return to your family, it will harm you. I still have to involve Mr. Fu. He Yuman's face was solemn and a little haggard. He was being scolded by Mr. Fu like a grandson all afternoon today, and he felt bad. I will give you an answer tomorrow. Then we don't know how to write this public relations draft. Let me apologize to the public first. Then netizens will definitely ask Mr. He on Weibo how you plan to handle your family affairs. You should know that the senior leaders of a company as big as ours are actually half public figures. This kind of negative news, the impact on the company is huge. He Yuman was a little irritated. I understand. I will reply to you tomorrow. Let's send a letter of apology first, post it on our official Weibo, and then post it on my Weibo. Mr. Fu is so angry. You should know what kind of decision Mr. Fu wants you to make. I know, I will try my best to satisfy Mr. Fu. Outside Zhonghuan building, Wen Qiao and Fu Nanli got into the car together. When they returned to his apartment, Wen Qiao pulled him into the bathroom. Take a shower first, and I'll press it for you later. After a while, Fu Nanli came out in a bathrobe, with messy black hair hanging down and dripping water. Wen Qiao picked up the bath towel and wiped his hair, then helped him dry his hair, and finally massaged him. Fu Nanli no longer had a headache. Wen Qiao was hugged into someone's arms. The craftsmanship is so good, do I have to pay you a salary? Wen Qiao spread his hands, it's not impossible, my hourly salary is very high. I'll give you the card tomorrow. Wen Qiao smiled, really? Really, please press it for me more often in the future. If I were paid, I would be a part-time employee. If you don't get paid, it's free hourly employment. Wen Qiao, well, it seems to make sense. It's been a tiring day, so go to bed. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1130. Because Wen Qiao was there, Fu Nanli didn't suffer from insomnia even though he was troubled by trivial matters. Early in the morning, Wen Qiao was woken up by the vibrating sound of a text message. She quickly took out her phone, turned off the mute, and opened it to see that it was from the gossip queen Lu Yuyu. Do you know who is involved in the scandal with President Hida? Who? Dai Yi. She? She seems to have no brains. How could he human break up with his wife because of such a woman? And make the matter so big that Fu Nanli is also implicated. Lu Yuyu, it seems that she has received guidance from an expert. Which economic company do you think her company is? Wen Qiao, which one? Shenhua Entertainment. Wen Qiao couldn't help but rolled his eyes. This Shenhua Entertainment always seemed to be restless. The first sister before, Su Lu behind, and Dai Yi now are not fuel-efficient lamps. Obviously Shenhua's boss Yang Sheng likes drama queens. To be precise, Shenhua Entertainment has a bad culture. They never think about exploring the potential of actors, but only rely on hype, marketing, and even men to get to the top. Lu Yuyu sent another message. Yang Sheng must have pointed out Dai Yi. Didn't Dai Yi crawl into young Master Fu's bed before? If he failed to seduce young Master Fu, he turned to seduce Mr. He who had taken the bait. Well, a woman like Dai Yi is like a daughter. She probably can't live without hugging a man's lap. Wen Qiao's chest felt a little clogged. It turned out to be Dai Yi who climbed into Fu Nanli's bed. Later, Fu Nanli blocked her. Unexpectedly, she changed her mind and hooked up with someone under Fu Nanli. This sister is really good at what she does, and even such a large Zhonghuan group must be influenced by her. Speaking of which, both Dai Yi and He Yumin deserve to die. He Yumin was eating the food in the bowl and thinking about the food in the pot. He was restless and thought that this was a mistake that all men make. In fact, a man who is clean and self-sufficient has moral integrity. No restrained man would indulge in such irresponsible behavior. Lu Yuyu sent a voice message, and Wen Qiao was worried about disturbing Fu Nanli, so he converted it into text. Anyway, he was scolding Dai Yi and He Yumin, calling them a bitch and so on, and the scolding was very unpleasant. Wen Qiao sent text messages passionately, which finally woke up Fu Nanli. The man put his big hands around her waist. Who are you sending messages to so early in the morning? Lu Yuyu. Fu Nanli took a deep breath. You guys really have endless things to talk about at any time. Wen Qiao turned around, still holding the phone in his hand, and asked him, do you remember Dai Yi? Dai Yi? Obviously don't remember. That's the girl who climbed into your bed in Xiaotangshan before. This is really a pot that cannot be opened. Fu Nanli's face darkened. Wen Qiao, Do you really want to mention such a disappointing thing at this time? Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows. Then do you know who the female celebrity who got involved with He Yuman is? I'm not interested in that kind of entertainment gossip news. That's Miss Dai Yi. Fu Nanli's face suddenly turned pale. It's her. Thinking of this, he hated He Yuman even more. You are such a bastard. You can leave your wife and children alone and get entangled with that kind of woman. Wen Qiao, should you check this Dai Yi? What's the meaning? What I mean is, who exposed the news about He Yuman's cheating? What's your intention? Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows. My intention is that this Miss Dai is ambitious. Is it possible that this recruitment operation is her own intention to put pressure on He Yuman and use it to rise to power?